Incoming broadcast!
What's going on, everyone? So welcome to my latest video. This is, of course, part of a series where I focus on a specific director and rank that director's work from worst to best. I've done such directors in the past, such as Denis Villeneuve, David Lynch, Wes Anderson, Christopher Nolan. The list goes on. You guys can check that out in my playlist down below. But guys, you clicked on this video, so you know this time around I'm focusing on Jeff Nichols films and ranking them from worst to best. Now, Jeff Nichols has actually done 5 films, so I'll be ranking them from 5 being his worst to 1 being his best, and of course, my opinion. Now, again, keep in mind this will not include any short films, TV shows, music videos, none of that. Just specifically films, and again, he's done 5, so it'll be 5 being his worst, 1 being his best, and of course, my opinion. So, guys, enough exposition. Let's get started. So kicking things off with number 5, we have Shotgun Stories. And Shotgun Stories, I'm not going to lie, was very hard to track down. I did manage to. And I have to say, this was a solid debut in terms of directing. I think that Nichols, from frame one, you could definitely tell that this was someone that had a unique style, a unique voice. But I did find myself also to be distant with this movie. I can't lie. I wasn't really interested in the characters, story, pacing, stuff like that just didn't really interest me. It's not bad per se, but it is something that did make me feel very distant. And I feel like a movie like this that's dealing with family and disputes and everything, I feel like you don't really want to feel distant. So, but that's just me personally. I definitely see why some people might really like this movie. And again, as a first film, props to Nichols, because you can definitely tell that this is someone that has a unique voice. And for that, I have a lot of respect for him. So that's why it's my number 5. Next up, we have my number 4, which is Loving. So Loving, I didn't exactly love when I saw it in 2016, but I will say that it is competently well made. It's got really good themes and messages, but I feel like it's just solid, which is nothing wrong with that per se, but I feel like given the themes and messages, given the story, you would feel like it would be even better than it actually is, but unfortunately, it's not. Again, good themes, good messages, but I just found it to be very dull, the way it's paced. The score also, I was surprisingly found to be dull. Just certain aspects just didn't really interest me, which I think is a shame, but overall, it all adds up to a solid movie. And again, Nichols should be proud because this was a solid film. That's why it's number 4. Next up, we have number 3, which is Midnight Special, which also came out in 2016. Actually, Midnight Special came out first. Came out, I believe it was like April of 2016, and then I believe Loving came out in November of 2016. So, yeah, Nichols had 2 films come out in the same year, which I think is quite interesting when a director has 2 films come out the same year. But anyways, Nichols did a really good job directing Midnight Special. So Midnight Special I actually saw twice. I did see it once in theaters, and then I saw it on, I believe it was Blu-ray shortly after. I like this movie. I like it quite a bit. It's got a unique approach to the whole, science fiction, alien invasion, superhero type, feel to it. Definitely stands out amongst that. But I will say it does have its issues for sure, but I really dug the characters. I liked the fact that the approach that they had almost kind of felt like, very sterile. It worked in this regard, and then also David Wingo's score in this is excellent. I really dig it. I've listened to it many times by itself. It's really good, and I also think the ending is quite unique and fascinating too at the same time. So Midnight Special, it's definitely something that might not be for everyone, especially with the way it's paced, but it is a film that it's good. It's good. It definitely is, which is why it's my number 3. Next up, number 2, we have Mud. And Mud came out in, I believe it was 2013. It stars Matthew McConaughey and a young Ty Sheridan. This movie, I think, is quite fascinating, and I do think that it is really well crafted. It's not that rewatchable. It's not really a movie that I'm like, oh, I'm in the mood to watch Mud, but it is a movie that you can't help but appreciate the filmmaking that's on display here. You can't help but appreciate Nichols, his craftsmanship, and just his ability to direct these kid performances to be really good and go toe-to-toe against Matthew McConaughey, when he was on his reconnaissance. So, I mean, props to Nichols. And again, it also has an interesting shootout towards the end that I found to be quite fascinating. And again, it's a good old Southern yarn that I find to be quite fascinating. And again, not rewatchable by any means, but definitely a good movie and definitely would get recommended. And I like it a bit more than Midnight Special, just a bit though. I think that Matthew McConaughey's performance is what elevates it a bit more than Midnight Special. But again, both are good movies. But there was a movie that I liked more. My number 1, my favorite Jeff Nichols movie as of the filming of this video, which is, of course, September 2021. My favorite Jeff Nichols video. My number 1, which is Take Shelter. So Take Shelter is the one Jeff Nichols film that I actually own on Blu-ray. And this movie I quite like. I've seen it, I believe it's been 3-4 times. I've seen it the most out of Jeff Nichols films. And I think that what's fascinating about this movie is its unique take with anxiety, depression, mental illness. It's stuff that I feel like in other movies it's handled a bit differently, but this one, it's totally different. It's a hands-on approach, and you're never quite sure about the line of like, what is the imagery that's on screen? Is it, mental illness driven, or is it actually happening? And I like that whole approach, and I feel like the ending does kind of give some semblance as to what that actually is, but either way, what a unique approach. I really like this film. David Wingo's score in this is amazing. Great cinematography, incredible performance by Michael Shannon. Everything comes together. This is a really good movie. It's going to be hard for him to top this, but really good film. So yeah, that's my number one. But yeah, guys, I like to talk about the director a little bit after doing these type of videos. So Jeff Nichols. I think Jeff Nichols is a solid director. I like the fact that he takes like these Southern tales, and I like that he adds like a stripped down approach in addition to also making things feel very realistic. Whether it's tackling again a drama or a science fiction film or mental illness, he knows how to tackle these genres and give it that fresh approach, and I admire it honestly. His movies always have good filmmaking, and in addition to that, he always knows how to have his voice kind of be heard amongst the genres, and I respect that. Where he falters, I think, is in terms of rewatchability. And this is, of course, a personal preference, but I feel like his movies aren't really that rewatchable. Even Take Shelter, which I own on Blu-ray and I really like, I've only seen 3 or 4 times, which I know for a lot of people, some people might not have even seen a movie that many times, but still love the movie. But for me, seeing a movie like this 3 or 4 times over the course of, 6, 7 years, that doesn't really seem like that much, and I feel like I have to be in a certain mood to rewatch Take Shelter. And the other ones, same thing. I mean, the other movies, Midnight Special and, of course, Mud, I've only seen like twice a piece. But they're good movies. But again, I just feel like, they're not really movies that yearn for me to rewatch them. So that's the only thing that I would say that he falters on. Everything else, he's a good filmmaker, rock solid. And I believe he's directing A Quiet Place 3, so curious to see how we'll do with that, but either way, he's a rock-solid director, and I have a great deal of respect for him. So, guys, that's my ranking for, again, Jeff Nichols' films, ranked worst to best. Let me know your ranking of his films down below, and as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget the subscription, notification bell, and I'll catch you guys later.